Man, hey, man, shout out to Courtney Williams. Shout out to C-Dub, Courtney Williams, one half of the Stud Butch. Shout out to her. She has stood 10 toes down on business when it's come to Caitlin Clark. She has shown love to Caitlin Clark outwardly. And
the intersection of professional basketball and the digital landscape has created a volatile environment for today's athletes. With a sudden surge in global viewership, WNBA players are navigating a spotlight that brings both record-breaking revenue and an inevitable wave of internet toxicity. Every physical collision, post-game comment, and box score is scrutinized by millions of people. As the noise reaches a fever pitch, a distinct pattern has emerged across the league. When targeted by online trolls, several veterans have chosen to amplify the abuse, often allowing the media to blame a specific demographic of new fans. But amidst this growing trend of digital victimhood, Courtney Williams just stepped up and delivered a masterclass on how to handle the internet. Her response to a vitriolic troll did more than just silence a critic. It exposed a fundamental flaw in the mainstream narrative targeting the Indiana Fever fanbase. Welcome back to WNBA Pro, your premier destination for authentic, hard-hitting women's basketball coverage. We step beyond the box scores to break down the locker room dynamics, the media narratives, and the unwritten rules of the sport. If you want the real story behind the viral headlines without the manufactured outrage, hit the subscribe button, smash the like, and ring the notification bell. The cultural fabric of the WNBA is shifting, and today we are diving deep into how Courtney Williams is changing the blueprint for athlete-media relations, the truth behind the online trolls, and the sharp cultural commentary shaking the league. To appreciate the stance Courtney Williams took this week, we first have to understand the specific narrative that has been cultivated by various media outlets over the past few months. A coordinated storyline has been pushed across major platforms, suggesting that the influx of racism, bigotry, and digital harassment in the WNBA is a direct result of Caitlin Clark's supporters. This accusation has been utilized as a shield by players facing criticism for their on-court performance or physical play. It is a convenient narrative: blame the new fans, avoid accountability, and shift the conversation.
To her, she has stood 10 toes down on business when it's come to Caitlin Clark. She has shown love to Caitlin Clark outwardly and let it be known Caitlin Clark is the real deal. Caitlin Clark is like the president. Caitlin Clark is the one. Damn all it is BS racist stuff y'all trying to throw at her. Damn all of that. Shout out to Courtney Williams for holding it down for Caitlin Clark and not being a sheep like a bunch of these.
Courtney Williams, known across the league as C-Dub, has consistently refused to follow that script. She has demonstrated an authentic approach to evaluating talent, standing firm in her support for Caitlin Clark since the rookie entered the league. Williams has publicly acknowledged Clark as the real deal, an athlete whose presence elevates the entire sport. She ignores the outside noise and focuses on basketball. So, when Williams found herself on the receiving end of a toxic internet attack, she did not run to a press conference to complain. She did not screenshot the message to implicate the Indiana Fever fanbase. Instead, she provided the definitive guide on how professional athletes should navigate the modern internet. Williams addressed her peers through her own platforms with a simple, grounding truth: the internet is not a real place. She pointed out the absurdity of public figures taking emotional damage from anonymous accounts hiding behind cartoon profile pictures. Her advice cut straight through the tension that has been gripping the league. She advised her fellow athletes to stop searching for victim awards, utilize the block button, and move forward with their lives. When athletes treat the digital realm with the same gravity as real-life interactions, they surrender their peace of mind to individuals who do not even know them. Williams backed up her philosophy with a real-time demonstration. She shared a highly aggressive, deeply disrespectful voice message she recently received from an online troll.
Before I get to her main thing, let's take a look at this.
The internet is not a real place. So I think when you treat the internet like a real place, that's when you get everybody like, oh my God. But it's like, bro, you don't know these people in real life. Just press the block button, bro. Just press the block button and then move on. Like,
just press the block button and move on. Like, is it like y'all are doing, everybody's running around trying to get some victim award. Y'all are taking serious accounts that have SpongeBob as the main photo. Like, what are y'all doing?
The audio was unhinged, with the individual screaming obscenities about her statistical output. But the specific words used in the recording revealed the true motivation behind the attack. This was not a passionate basketball fan analyzing her shot selection. The individual explicitly stated they had wagered their hard-earned money on a statistical player prop. They needed Williams to secure at least 2 assists. When she finished the game with only 1, the bettor lost their wager and initiated a barrage of verbal abuse. This exposes the darkest reality of the current sports ecosystem. The toxicity flooding players' direct messages is rarely rooted in traditional team loyalty. We are witnessing an epidemic of degenerate sports betting. The WNBA is experiencing the same integration of gambling revenue that the NBA and NFL have dealt with for years. When volatile financial wagers are introduced to the sport, it attracts a demographic that only cares about hitting their parlays. When a player misses a rebound or falls 1 assist short of a betting line, these individuals lose money and retaliate with vitriol. NBA stars like Kevin Durant and Jaylen Brown have spoken extensively about this exact phenomenon. Instead of weaponizing this attack to push a false narrative, Williams assessed the situation accurately. She knew she was dealing with a frustrated gambler, not a racist basketball fan.
Better. That is somebody who was betting and lost money on Courtney Williams. Instead of just blocking him, she said, I'm going to troll you back this time.
Broke ass bitch, you. If you don't get on my motherfucking DMs, you broke bitch. I ain't even click on your page and you look dirty as fuck. Ugly ass boy. Now you getting blocked, you little broke bitch. I hope I lose you some more money.
She trolled him back and said, now you're getting blocked. She didn't say, oh, these are the racist Caitlin Clark fans.
Rather than playing the victim, Williams decided to troll the bettor right back. She sent a voice note mocking the individual for losing their money, laughing at their failed parlay, and telling them they looked ridiculous before officially hitting the block button. It was a flawless de-escalation. She handled the situation with humor, protected her mental space, and refused to use the incident to smear another team's supporters. The media literacy displayed by Courtney Williams stands in stark contrast to the strategy executed by Las Vegas Aces veteran Chelsea Gray. Following the Aces' heavily scrutinized loss to the Indiana Fever, Gray took to her social media accounts to post a screenshot of a racially derogatory direct message she received. Gray expressed her frustration, and the WNBA media apparatus immediately reacted by associating the racist message with Caitlin Clark's fanbase. The implication was clear. Gray played against the Fever, received a vile message, and therefore, Fever fans were responsible. However, independent internet sleuths and dedicated sports analysts immediately investigated the claim. What they uncovered completely dismantled the media's assumption. The digital footprint of the anonymous account revealed a different reality. The individual had no connection to the Indiana Fever and followed no content related to Caitlin Clark. According to the breakdown provided by independent commentators, the user was located in Texas, was an avid fan of UConn's Paige Bueckers, and was heavily involved in sports betting.
Fans are racist. Then check this out. The person that called her the N-word in her comments, look at this. Absolutely no Indiana Fever content was on this man's social media accounts. Leave CC fans, Indiana Fever fans out of this. Chelsea Gray is dumb for mentioning the Indiana Fever before doing her research. The guy, look at this. The guy who sent that racist message, clearly a Paige Bueckers fan who is from Texas and a sports bet.
This revelation ignited a wave of fan speculation and analytical debate. Vocal supporters across social media are actively raising speculative questions about Chelsea Gray's intentions. Fans are openly wondering if her decision to post this specific message was a calculated move to frame a narrative. The internet is asking why a veteran player, who undoubtedly receives terrible messages from degenerate bettors regularly, specifically chose to highlight a message received immediately after playing the Indiana Fever. Analysts are pointing out that Gray has allegedly received derogatory comments following games against other opponents earlier in the season, yet she kept those private. Are fans justified in questioning the timing of this situation? The vocal community is speculating that certain players might be intentionally capitalizing on horrific troll messages to deflect from their on-court performances. There is a growing theory among commentators that highlighting these messages serves to perpetuate the media's preferred narrative that the new wave of WNBA fans is inherently toxic. When independent receipts exonerate the Indiana Fever fan base, it forces the basketball world to examine how these digital controversies are artificially constructed. The friction surrounding Caitlin Clark was further analyzed by sports commentator Dan Dakich, who delivered a deep cultural breakdown on his platform. Dakich reviewed an article written by cultural analyst Bobby Burack, which explored the underlying hostility Clark faces from certain factions within the league.
Why do so many WNBA players, Bobby Burack wrote, particularly black players, display such obvious, at times physical hostility towards Clark? Is it simply because she is a straight white woman in a league that is roughly 70% black or gay? In part, yes, but her identity alone isn't the issue. There is more to it. And this is where the lovely Lee Ross told me this was going to happen. Listen for it. For the problem for many around the league is that Clark refuses to.
According to the analysis presented by Dakich and Burack, the tension surrounding Clark goes beyond competitive jealousy. It is rooted in sociological expectations. Burack points out the demographic realities of the WNBA, noting that it is a league where approximately 70% of the players identify as black or gay. The thesis argues that the fundamental issue some individuals have with Clark is her refusal to play the specific cultural role expected of her within that demographic landscape. Dakich and Burack argue that the WNBA has spent years cultivating a public image heavily rooted in social and political activism. The league's identity is intertwined with these movements. However, according to these commentators, Caitlin Clark has declined to turn herself into a vehicle for that activism. She is a straight, white woman from Iowa who wants to focus entirely on basketball. She does not pander to the media, avoids expected political rhetoric, and does not feel an obligation to performatively prove her character to online mobs.
Caitlin Clark is an adult. At 24 years old, she is always the adult in the room. All right. That's an important distinction, Bobby writes. The identity left, if you will, doesn't reject all white people. Many would gladly vote for California Governor Emmanuel Acho. She doesn't feel an obligation to tell the world she isn't a racist or a homophobe. The drama surrounding Clark has never been difficult to understand. A straight white girl from Iowa.
Dakich provided a fascinating comparison between Caitlin Clark and collegiate star Paige Bueckers to illustrate this cultural divide. Analysts and sports commentators are publicly questioning the stark contrast in their public relations strategies, wondering if Paige Bueckers is aligning with the league's preferred narratives to secure favor. Dakich argued that Bueckers fits the traditional mold of what the established WNBA culture expects from its rising stars. She is vocal regarding social issues and actively participates in the established discourse. He suggested that her willingness to advocate for marginalized groups makes her more palatable to the league's old guard. In contrast, Dakich argued that Caitlin Clark operates as the adult in the room. At 22 years old, she demonstrates a level of emotional maturity that belies her age. She absorbs physical hits on the floor and navigates bad faith media narratives without taking the bait. She does not complain about the veterans or engage in digital mudslinging. She rejects the victim mentality that seems to consume other sectors of the sports world. She transcended the game, put women's basketball on the global map, and forced the world to pay attention through her sheer talent. According to Dakich's analysis, it is this exact refusal to conform that generates underlying hostility from the established culture. The WNBA is standing at a critical crossroads. The influx of new fans, the integration of sports betting, and the cultural gravity of Caitlin Clark have shattered the old status quo. The league is grappling with an identity crisis, and players are reacting to this pressure in vastly different ways. Courtney Williams is showcasing media literacy, maintaining her authentic personality, and exposing the toxic sports betting culture for exactly what it is without throwing another fanbase under the bus. Meanwhile, the social media strategies of veterans like Chelsea Gray are being scrutinized and questioned by independent internet investigators. And standing in the center of the storm is Caitlin Clark, stoically weathering the noise and continuing to produce on the hardwood. The narrative is shifting, and independent sports media is refusing to allow the truth to be buried beneath manufactured controversies. I want to hear your thoughts on this cultural breakdown. Get into the comment section and give me your honest takes. Do you agree with Courtney Williams that players simply need to press the block button? Are fans justified in raising speculative questions about the timing of Chelsea Gray's social media posts? And what are your thoughts on Dan Dakich's analysis regarding how the league embraces Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin Clark? Hit the subscribe button to stay locked in with WNBA Pro. Tap the like button, and I will see you on the next breakdown.